Hello and welcome to episode 4 of the Talking Rangers podcast. Today is Wednesday, October 25th. We have a full video for you today recapping week 2 of the New York Rangers 2023 season as they picked up a couple victories against the Kraken and then last night against the Flames. We'll break it all down today. Last night was a big night in the NHL. All 32 teams played, 16 games across the league. The Frozen Frenzy, as many of them called it. Joe, how you doing today? And what are your thoughts on the Rangers so far?
I'm good. There's a little bit of like up and down, but
Yep.
besides like the Coyotes game, they look like a pretty good team. So
Yeah.
it's good to see that. Like, I'm really impressed with Lavalette. I love that signing. I think a lot of people at the beginning were like, "Oh, he's a retread."
Yep.
You know, he kind of goes from place to place, but the coaching is just light years better than. No offense to Gallant, but like
Yeah.
you can see, like the faceoffs are up. They're playing better in the neutral zone. He's matching lines. He's riding hot hands. Like
Yep.
he's not just gonna roll the four lines because that's what Gallant did. He's gonna put out the top players when they need a goal or when guys are playing good. Like Panarin, you see him going out when he's playing good. So I
Yeah.
just really impressed so far by the
Exactly.
coaching.
Yeah, and as you mentioned with Panarin, I mean, we've seen him, double shift Panarin a lot, obviously a couple times for Wheeler. Panarin's been great. So there's a lot of good things to get into in today's podcast, and we'll get to those. But I do want to start off here because we do break down all the games. We'll start with the first game here, the last game of their quick 2-game homestand. After the Coyotes' ugly 2-1 victory where they found a way to get the job done, they played the Predators and got crushed 4-1. Poor game all around. Again, we'll be quick with this because I don't want to focus on all the negatives because this team's been really good atop the Metropolitan right now with 8 points at a 4-2-0 record. But what were your thoughts of this Predators game? Fell down early, 4-1 game. Igor get pulled, Quick came in. It was just ugly all around before they hit the road.
Yeah, they came out like flat. You could tell
Yeah.
right away, like in the first period, that it was not going to be a good game. Like if they were going to win, it was going to have to be an Igor performance because
Yeah.
the forwards were not forechecking very well. They're getting killed in the neutral zone. They couldn't get past the
Nope.
Predators. I feel like the speed in the neutral zone really kind of was just not being able to be stopped by the Rangers. Like the Rangers couldn't stop the speed in the neutral zone by the Predators, and they couldn't get any sustained forecheck. I feel like there was like minutes and like 5-10 minutes of that game where like you could just they weren't getting any pressure on the Predators. They were just coming through,
Yeah.
no offensive zone pressure, and like I don't know, it was a rough game. But I mean, obviously you're gonna have bad games
Yeah.
throughout the season. And my thing is, okay, have one bad game, but see how you respond. I mean, I don't want to just like gloss over the game. Obviously, there were some mistakes and some red
Yeah.
flags in that game, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, like I said, you're going to have bad games. And if you can rebound, which they did, that's okay. I just think that that's something that I think teams might try doing against the Rangers is just to break that kind of neutral zone trap if you can come with speed. So we'll see what they can do versus teams that have a lot of speed. But I mean, obviously, it's not a great game.
Yeah, no, not at all. I mean, their penalty kill wasn't great either. The Predators had 2 power play goals on 4 opportunities. The Rangers went 1 for 4 in the power play, the only goal coming from Adam Fox. Outside of that, there wasn't much, as you mentioned. They couldn't get much offensive zone pressure. Predators were forechecking a lot. Igor got pulled. I don't think a lot of it was on him, though. I think defensively there wasn't a lot going on in front of him. As I mentioned, there was a whole lot of time where the Predators were just taking chances, taking shots. I mean, Nashville outshot us 27-24, which isn't a crazy amount, but they were the better team all along. Your thoughts on Igor that game, and then Quick coming in and was the start of a nice little 2-game stretch for him because he came in, made all 9 saves, went 9 for 9, and went out there against the Kraken and played really well. But was that a type of game? Because in my opinion, I felt that was a lot more on the guys in front of him. The penalty kill wasn't great. Igor getting removed. It was more the Rangers just around him weren't doing a lot.
I mean, I thought it was like a little bit of a
A
combination of
little
both.
bit.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't think Igor was like horrible, but
Mm-hmm.
some goals where you wish he makes those saves most of the
Yeah.
time. Like the one where Forsberg scored, where he kind of got knocked down, got back up, and then took a slap shot and went over his shoulder. You like to see him save
Yeah,
that
they
with
overshot.
not really much of a screen. But I mean, yeah, no, the defense was bad. I thought Fox was mediocre that game. I thought Schneider, he's been off to a little bit of a rough start, I feel like. But
Yeah.
pretty much those two guys I thought weren't great in that game. Lindgren and Truba, I thought they were okay, but like we were saying, like not overly a great performance by them, but you're gonna have duds. It just
Yeah.
as long as you don't compound bad games, then I think
Yeah.
it's fine because it's a long season.
Yeah. The one positive takeaway is the Rangers were still winning faceoffs, 54% faceoff win rate that game, with 27 total wins. And you mentioned, we talked about this a little bit already, not letting that stall into the road trip. And you fall a tough loss to the, Predators, where before this long road trip, it kind of left a bad taste in your mouth, but they've bounced back in a big way. And we'll go to that Kraken game first. And then we'll obviously get to the Flames game last night. I want to start, though, watching that game, extremely weird. The lights were literally out in the stadium. There was that one portion of the area that was just out. What were your thoughts on that? It was interesting. It was weird. It was not the same. Watching the game, you knew something was up. And then come to find out, they almost actually postponed the game because of the lighting issue in Seattle.
Yeah, look a little off. Like right
Yeah.
when before they even said anything. I mean, a lot of times, I don't know about you, but when I watch the Ranger games, a lot of the arenas obviously have different lighting, and it seems
Yeah.
like the Madison Square Garden such like bright lights. Like
Yeah.
I like the lighting at Madison Square Garden, so I feel like a lot of games where they go on the road. I don't know if it's the lighting or like the cameras that they bring with like MSG, but it seems like a lot of the times the lights aren't as bright in the other arenas. But you could tell right away that like the one side of the ice you could like barely see like quick,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought I was just so confused.
Yeah. It was so weird. And you're glad the Rangers won, but if they came away with a loss, I'd be sitting here blaming the lights if they all scored the goals on quick. But
Yeah,
it was weird, and you could see a ton of the players. Anytime you got into that area, it was like dark on that one side of the ice. Panarin had a funny quote at the end, though. He said something about with the lights being off, he could score more goals and all that stuff, which
yeah, I
was
saw that. That was
which
funny.
was funny. And we'll start with Panarin. I mean, he had a really good game, one of many good games for him this season. 3 goals so far in the year, 8 points, 5 assists. He's been great. And your thoughts on Panarin in this game as well with the lights out? Maybe that benefited, but he came away with 2 goals. I mean, the new haircut's working because he's been great.
Yeah, dude, they calling him a Heisenbred.
Yeah.
He's shaved his hair off. He's going all full Heisenberg mode. I mean, he's been like a man on a mission. He's
Yeah.
forechecking. I don't notice the East-West play as much as in the last couple of years, especially in the playoffs. So it seems like he's trying to drive play more. He's
Yep.
more aggressive, which is great to see. And he's shooting the puck. Like I don't
Yep.
remember when's the last time we've seen Panarin shoot the puck as much as he's been.
Never.
Like that's awesome. And I just think that line has been obviously, they've had some mishaps defensively here and there, but offensively, my God, like 5-on-5, such an elite line. Like Hedl, Lafreniere, and Panarin have been unbelievable. And to see him score, I mean, the one goal was ridiculous where Hedl tried passing him, got tipped up into the air, and he knocks it down with his glove and just rips it over the guy's shoulder. Like he's been unbelievable. It's just great to see him kind of, regrouping again. I mean, obviously he had the bad first playoff. Besides, personally, I don't think it was good. He had obviously the overtime goal.
Yeah.
And then he was probably not too thrilled with that. And then last year, I think he was really upset with it. And then this year, just coming out strong and just trying to build on each game. It seems like he's going to have a big year for them.
Yeah, totally. And I think this is something too where you've seen Laviolette, his whole coaching, mindset and everything that he's put onto these players really work out, because something that he's really worked with Panarin, and Panarin has kind of worked with this offseason, has been the shot first mentality. Not as much of an East-West game, more north-south, get to the net, put pucks on net. Even if you, put a puck on net, it gets tipped in. The Wayne Gretzky saying is so true. You miss 100% of shots you don't take. And Panarin's really doing that right now. He's shooting the puck. He leads the team right now in shots with 21. He's taking advantage of his opportunities. You mentioned that the goal he had where he tipped it down or brought it down with his hands. He, had a couple guys near him in traffic, scores, took a chance, right? It wasn't a great chance, but took a chance. He scored, put it in a perfect spot. And those are the plays we're seeing him make this year that you probably, and I can ask you here if you would agree, probably doesn't do those things last year. He probably looks for a pass or try, not that specific play, but a lot of these plays where he's got good opportunities in the slot, he probably passes those up last year.
Yeah, it seems like last year and the years prior. I mean, I think in the first year he was here in 2019, it felt like he was shooting the puck more.
Yep.
But yeah, I felt like the last couple of years he was kind of just deferring, and I think that just really hurts him overall with his game because if you come too predictable, it's easier to defend. And I think that's really good for his game. If he keeps shooting the puck, like a lot of defense and teams that aren't really gonna play for either or. So like if they don't know if he's gonna pass or shoot, he's a lot more dangerous than if like okay, Panarin's gonna pass. We know what his tendencies are, and he's also got a good shot though. Like at the end of the day,
Yeah.
like I don't know why he never was shooting because he's got an unbelievable wrist shot, very accurate and he's quick. So you'd love to see him just keep shooting.
Yeah, totally. I totally agree. And you mentioned that season a couple years ago where very high goal scorer was a lot more aggressive towards the net with his shots. And yeah, the wrist shot's been great, and we've seen it so far this year. It's been something that I've been really happy to see because he was one of the guys that we talked about to start the season, coming off the rough playoffs. We want to see him have a good year, but especially come out strong with a new coach. And he's, I think, probably been this team's best player so far, especially offensively. So just a couple other notes here in this game because there was a good amount that went on. The two other goal scorers, Kako and Lafreniere, so the two young guys getting the job done there. Your thoughts on their play, and we'll expand a little bit more on Lafreniere as well in the next game's recap because this was the first of back-to-back games with a goal for him.
Yeah, I mean Lafreniere starting off with Kako. That line hasn't been great 5-on-5. So I mean, I don't really blame Kako as much because I don't think he's as much as a driver of a player. Like he drives a play as much as a Banijed or a Kreider. So I feel like once they start playing a little bit better, his points and like scoring will go up.
Yeah.
I don't think he's been bad. Obviously, I think he's got one goal and an assist on the season. It was nice to see him get a goal, get on the board there. But going like kind of, we're talking about Panarin, but that line with Lafreniere and Hedel, yeah, those guys are playing really well. I mean, to see Lafreniere starting to gain confidence. I mean, that goal that he had was a really nice play. He goes in, turns the puck over, hits it, passes a Hedel, and then gets in like perfect spot in the high slot, and then just fires it over the goalie's shoulder. So really nice presence defensively, and then turning defense into offense. I've been pretty impressed by Lafreniere. I was really concerned. I know we were both like before the season, didn't know what he was really going to be. He was going back to the right side, but yeah, like he was very good in that game. He had a bunch of chances to score. I feel like in the first goal too, he made a good play where he kind of forced a turnover too. So he's been getting a little snake bitten, I feel like, on points, but he's been really good.
Yeah, definitely. And you mentioned Hedel had 3 apples on the night, so he was spreading the puck around a little bit, which was certainly good to see. So all in all, I thought all 3 of the kids really were able to. You even want to call them kids anymore because they've been in the league for a while.
Hedel's been in since 2017. He's been in the league a while.
Yeah, definitely. It's funny. Now we expect these guys to go from these developmental pieces to really taking off. And again, Hedel, Kako, all those guys, good performances in this game. And this was just a really good dominant 5-on-5 game because you look at the Rangers, we talked about it already, all the goals that they scored, but they only had 1 power play. They didn't convert. So all these came on the 5-on-5 opportunities, which was good to see. One of the biggest complaints with this team last year, we've mentioned this a lot, was their 5-on-5 play. This was one of these games where they really just dominated from start to finish. So that was good to see. So just some other things here, 16 block shots. And Jonathan Quick, first start as a New York Ranger. Your thoughts on his performance? Didn't have to do a whole lot because the New York Rangers in front of him were solid, got off to a quick start. And, obviously.
No pun intended.
Yeah. What did I say?
I said no pun intended.
Yeah, and a quick start. Yeah, exactly. But what were your thoughts on Jonathan Quick?
He was good. Like, he was really bad, I thought, in the preseason, but
yeah,
you can attribute that to many factors, like first time with the team, first time playing new games. But no, he was good. He made a couple of like pretty nice saves with his glove. I thought he was pretty sharp. The first goal he gave up was, not a great goal. I think it was like one of the defensemen just came up and just ripped a shot.
Yep.
But besides that, he like shut it down. And I know they played good defensively in front of him, but still, I thought he was pretty solid. And if he can just continue to play like average goaltending, he'll have a good year as a backup goalie. That really gave me confidence in him to be a successful backup for Shesterkin. So.
Yeah, and it was nice for him to go out there, 18 of 19, 947 save percentage. He walks away from that game with, it was nice for him to go out there, got into the game against Nashville. This was not a very important game, but it was important. Again, it wasn't a must-win couple games into the season, but to get off to a quick start on West Coast road trip, you had the bad taste in your mouth. For him to go out there, stop the shots that he needed to stop, because again, the Rangers defensively played very good and they put up enough points where He didn't have to be dominant. He had to be great. He just had to be competent. That's what we need out of our backup. What was a definitely a good starting spot for him this season, in those spot starts. So we move on to last night's game where the New York Rangers fell down early, 1-0. Tough turnover by Hedel in the neutral zone. But outside of that, this team was dominant. And we've got to start with Igor Shesterkin because last night might have been his best game of the season. What were your thoughts on Igor last night?
Yeah, he was like right after that early goal, like there was nothing getting past him. Like positionally, he was so good. Like he was really good at getting across the crease when there was like cross crease passes. Rebound control was really good. Like just an overall really good performance by Igor. And like, I mean, I wasn't concerned because he had some stinkers even in the year that he won the Vesna.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's Igor Shesterkin. He's arguably
Yeah.
the best goalie in the league. So, but that just shows you like last night, like yeah, he's probably the best goalie in the league.
Yeah.
So
24
whenever the
points.
Rangers aren't on their A
Crazy.
game, which I didn't think they were bad yesterday. I
No.
think they didn't have to be as good just because how well
Igor.
Shesterkin was playing. So whenever they need him, I feel like most of the time he'll win you games. So it was an impressive game by him.
Yeah, totally. And the Flames had a lot of good chances. They had 23 chances overall. But they walked away from this game with 11% high percentage chances, and they had 4.29 expected goals allowed. Steven Valiquette always posts the breakdowns after the game, so those were the numbers courtesy of him. But it just shows you the chances that the Flames were getting on him, the opportunities that they were getting, and for him to go out there and do his thing. I mean, that's why he's one of the best in the league, and he's been so good for us. This was definitely amazing. 960 save percentage walking out of this. Again, they walked out of this first period 1-0, but second period they did a lot of really good things. All 3 goals came in the second period. What were your thoughts? We'll start with Lafreniere again. Back-to-back games for him with a goal.
Yeah, and again, nice play. He got the puck in the corner, passed it up to Hedel, and then again, good positionally, got in front of the net, and just a great tip. So just a smart play, like getting in front of the net. And he's just been, like I said, he's been good this year. And if he can continue, obviously he's not going to get a lot of playing time, but his confidence is like a big thing for him. And if he can just keep up that confidence, I mean, he could. I don't think it's crazy to say he could score 30 goals this year. I think he could. Especially how that line is going. Yeah. He's been really good.
I mean, he's got, right now from right wing, I mean, obviously who a lot of people, some we talked about how he fits there, but 3 goals to start the season. All 3 of his points have come on those 3 goals. He's had 7 shots. He's made the most of his opportunities. He looks good. I would say, and you probably would agree, I mean, he's looked, I think, better than Kakko this year so far.
Yeah.
And that's definitely pretty obvious there, but he's looked good for the second line, and he's been really solid. I think, all that entire second line as a whole, Hedel, Panarin, Lafreniere, they've all been able to step up in a big way. We've talked about Panarin a lot already. The other goal was Gustafsson. Obviously, Kreider also had a goal. The Gustafsson goal tipped it in behind Markstrom, was almost in, and it ended up just kind of tapping it in there for a goal for him.
I think we need to talk a little bit more about Hedel. I feel like
Hedel.
A lot of the attention goes to Kakko and Lafreniere, but first off, he's the best out of those 3 guys.
Yeah.
He might, I mean, he hasn't scored a goal yet, but those will come. I think he's going to have 65 points this year. I think he's going to have a massive year.
Yeah, he's looked good.
I think he's got 6 assists. He leads the team in assists. And he had that goal taken off the board against the Blue Jackets. He's flying around, getting breakaways. Besides Panarin, I think, honestly, he's been the second best player on the team. He's been really good.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And again, 6 assists as well, which is, I believe, that leads the team right now.
Yeah.
The goals will start falling. He's had a lot of opportunities. Hedel was always, to me, out of the 3 of them, has always been the better piece. He's definitely developed and really has turned into a really solid piece, and he hopefully continues to get better here, but he's looked really good. I totally agree. And I believe that Gustafsson tap, and that was Hedel's shot, I believe, right?
Yeah. It snuck past, I think it was Grubauer, and Gustafsson kind of dove in.
Yeah, and just tapped in.
Back-to-back games. We're talking Lafreniere back-to-back goals. That's back-to-back multi-point games for Hedel. So
yeah, exactly. He's been really good, and you hope to continue to see that, especially for him. Obviously, the second line of him and Lafreniere continue to play this way, and Panarin. That second line is probably, I mean, if you would probably agree, been the best line for this team.
Yeah,
no doubt about it. So, just some other notes in this game. Mika has been interesting start to the season. We were talking about this before we came on to do this. This start reminds you a little bit of the COVID year 56 game season where he got off to the slow start and became really hot. Had a couple of those really big games against the Flyers. It feels the same way this year. So far, he's had 5 assists, no goals through the first 6 games of the season. What have been your thoughts on Mika? He's had a lot of shots, had a lot of opportunities. I mean, last night he had, I recall like 2, 3 really good opportunities where he just missed the net. Are you concerned at all with Mika? Do you expect him to turn it on? I expect him to turn it on, but early on, he's had a lot of really good opportunities that he's missed, and including last night.
Yeah, I mean, he's like always been sort of like a streaky player as
Yeah,
far as like points. Like, I don't think he's been like terribly because it seems like he's been pretty good defensively. And like last night, he had a couple of good chances. I know he shot one over the net, and I think the goalie made a good save on like a backdoor pass from Kreider, but he's had some good chances. Like we're talking about Hedel, he had a goal also to call back against Columbus, but
yeah,
even though he's not producing a lot, he still has 5 points in 6 games. So whenever he starts scoring, like they usually go in bunches. So
yeah,
I do feel like this year is kind of going to be like swapped, like as far as the power play goals. Like 2 years ago, it was Kreider, all power play.
yeah,
Last year, all Zibanejad power play. I think they're going to start going more towards Kreider, just tipping in those goals. So you might
yeah.
see a little bit of a decrease in goals this year for him, but he's probably still going to get you 30. But again, streaky player, I'm not concerned.
Yeah, not at all. Especially some of these games coming up. It's favorable for this Ranger team against, especially against Edmonton, who has not been good this start of the year. Hopefully he can get a couple. But yeah, I mean, it's a guy that could easily go out there, Thursday night, tomorrow night against Edmonton and put up 2 goals, and we'll all be talking great about him again. But he's had a lot of
I
opportunities.
got a prediction here.
What was saying?
He actually he's been really good. As if I can recall, I believe in the last 2 games against Edmonton in Edmonton, I think he's got at least 3 or 4 goals in those 2 games. I know the one year, I don't know if you remember that game where it was like a crazy like shootout. It was 2 years ago. It was like 6-5, but David like had that crazy goal. I think he scored 2 goals there, and I think he scored 2 goals last year there. I think he's going to score 2 goals.
2 goals.
2 goals on Thursday or tomorrow. He's going to score 2 goals.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at all. Again, this is a guy that could score in bunches, but I actually didn't even know that stat. So that was a nice nugget by you. But yeah, I mean, look, he scores in bunches. He can get hot at any time. Not really worried about it. One other guy I want to talk about is Will Cooley. What have been your thoughts from him? He had a nice opportunity last night, on net. What have been your thoughts on Cooley in that line as a whole with, Trocheck and Wheeler?
I think Trocheck's been good. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I personally I've always been not a big fan of him playing the power play. I get it. He's really good at the faceoffs, but
yeah,
as far as just besides the faceoffs, he doesn't really bring much. I mean, he's got a lot of speed. He's a good player. He's a really good third line player. Don't get me wrong. I think he's getting held back a little by Blake Wheeler. I think Blake Wheeler has been horrible. I mean, again, it's 6 games, but I feel like we're gonna be like, oh, it's only 10 games. It's only 12 games. It's gonna build up, but
it's gonna build up.
He's just slow and does not contribute much, which I think does hurt that line. But you're talking about Cooley. I think he's a rookie, so you're not really going to expect that much out of him, but he's been pretty good. I mean, defensively, he's big, he's strong, he's aggressive. Like you were saying, like he made that one nice play yesterday where he kind of got like tripped, but that was a nice play. So you like to see that kind of a play out of a kid. But that line's been solid. I don't think they've scored a goal yet. I mean, I think the goal that Cooley scored, I'm not sure if those guys were on with him when he did score that. They might have been, but besides that one goal, they have done absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Wheeler's been, he looks, as you mentioned, he's slow. I mean, how much longer would you give Wheeler until you think about making a change? I mean, do you do it now? Do you wait till we say, oh, it's only 12, 15 games? How much more of a leash are you giving Wheeler?
What they're going to probably do, I mean, because like you can't send him down to the minors. He's not going down to the minors. That's not happening.
Obviously.
But I don't think they're going to cut him or like release or like waive him. I don't even know if he can be waived. I'm not sure what it is. He's got a weird contract where it's like that 35 plus contract, but I think they're going to wait, and eventually I think Othman's going to come and take his spot on the third line, or Kane, but that's probably not going to happen because they don't have cap space. But I think one of those options is possible. I think he's going to play most of the season, though.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't see them keeping him that short of a leash early on, especially if they're winning. They're not going to worry about it. I would like to see Othman up at some point. We talked about that in the season prediction or season preview podcast if we'll see Othman at all this year, especially on a line with Cooley. But where do you think Kane ends up? Because he's an interesting name. I mean, I would hope that his off season, he's much more healthy, the surgery and stuff, because he was slow and old last postseason. Do you see Kane, not the Rangers, if he doesn't come here? Where do you end up seeing Kane coming up or ending up? Because I think Buffalo, Detroit, I think were some teams also involved.
I don't know. That's tough. I mean, because you got to look at the cap space. Like, first off,
Yeah.
you got to figure out what he wants as far as like a contract. Like, he's obviously not signing anything more than a year. It's going to be like a rental. So that could pretty much get him to be able to sign at most places later in the season. If I had to choose, if he's gonna sign, if he's gonna sign at the deadline, I can see a team like the Rangers, the Avalanche, or the Maple Leafs. If he's gonna sign like soon, the Red Wings have been off to a hot start, and he's friends with DeBrincat, so you could see that.
Yeah,
I don't think he's gonna go to the Sabres. I have a feeling that a lot of people are saying that. I don't think he ends up in the Sabres, at least this year. What about you?
Yeah, I think the Sabres are probably still like a year away from bringing in a big name veteran like that. I also think the Sabres are pretty young and they like their youth. You made a good point with the Red Wings. I could see that. I mean, they were a team last year that was right on the outside looking in. They're definitely right up there this year. I mean, I think they've already got 11 points so far this season, as you mentioned. 5, I believe, 5-1-1. I think they are something along those lines. They've been really good. I think he's. I don't think he'll end up with the Rangers personally. Just the way it ended last year, I don't see him coming back. But a couple of those teams could be an option. I don't know how much longer this will drag out. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, it could take a big. If a team suffers an injury here soon, could they bring in a piece like a Kane,
I think
where
he's
he
gonna
could
wait
fill the
though.
void? But
I think
what
he's
was
gonna
that?
wait. I think he's gonna
Yeah.
wait. Just kind of like because if say he goes to the Red Wings now and like again, it's still a young team. Like they're off to a hot start, but they could easily start
Fall off.
losing. So like he probably wants to go to a team that this team's definitely going to be in the playoffs, and that's why I don't think he's going to go to the Sabres just because it's a rental. Like he's not signing like a 5-year deal or something. Maybe in the offseason he'd sign like a long-term deal, but this year, like I said, that's why I could see the Rangers. Honestly, I know it seems like it left a bad taste in his mouth, and he was really. I think he was upset with himself. He was upset how everything ended. And I feel like he thought he could have given more, but maybe that's just me being a Rangers fan thinking that he'd come back. But
yeah. I mean, the whole situation was weird because you had the whole, he wanted to come here. They made it happen. Blackhawks obviously, brought it, traded him here. It just didn't end up working out. Blowing the 2-0 lead certainly doesn't help that case, being on that team. Obviously, Tarasenko went his way to Ottawa, but I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. But yeah, it seems like the Rangers last season, like Showtime coming to Broadway, all that hype, it just seems like it did leave a little bit of bad taste and a bad mark in his mouth, especially the way it ended. But I could definitely see him waiting. It's something to follow though here early in the season and as the season goes on, as he remains out there and free for the taking. So just to close things out here, a little bit more. Couple games coming up this week, week 3 of the New York Rangers 2023 season. So we'll have 3 games until our next podcast. They'll be on the road in Edmonton, Vancouver, and in Winnipeg. So they'll wrap up their Canada West Coast road trip that started obviously in Seattle. That'll wrap up on Monday in Winnipeg before they'll head back home next Thursday to face the Carolina Hurricanes. Still a ton of road games to start the year because even after that Hurricanes game, they hit the road again. And they have 3 home games and then hit the road again for 4 games. So New York Rangers schedule early on is not very nice for them in terms of travel. What are your expectations these next 3 games? Edmonton has not been good. They're without Connor McDavid in this game. Vancouver's actually been pretty solid so far. They're second in the Pacific, only behind the 7-0 Vegas Golden Knights. And obviously we'll wrap up in Winnipeg, who is 500 up to this point. What are your thoughts going into these 3 games as the Rangers wrap it up in Canada?
I think they should win all 3, honestly. I mean, they have to win tomorrow.
Yeah,
like you're saying, McDavid's hurt. They've been horrible defensively. I think they've given up the most goals. I think they've given up the most shots per game. Like defensively, they've been atrocious.
Terrible.
And I don't think they're going to be able to run and gun as much without McDavid. So they should be able to win that game. And then going to Vancouver, they've been solid. I could see like that being kind of like an off game for the Rangers, and maybe they lose. But I still think they're the better team. And then Winnipeg's been terrible too. So they should be able to beat Winnipeg.
Yeah, definitely. And we talk about Edmonton. I mean, they're a weird team because a lot of people thought, oh, they could be a playoff team, and they're right down there in the division right now in that Pacific, only ahead of the San Jose Sharks, who aren't even trying to win this year. So it's been a rough start for them. So I think they got to walk away from these next 3 games at least 2-1. Again, you take Edmonton, split Vancouver and Winnipeg, you come back home and you get a nice, big game against Carolina early in the season at MSG. So a lot to look forward to there. Any closing thoughts as we wrap things up here on this Wednesday podcast?
No, just keep one game at a time and just keep growing, keep building on the games prior, and hopefully, continue to stay healthy.
One more question, actually. Do we think, just thinking about standing stuff, we open up the show, they're top of the Metropolitan right now with 8 points, 4-2 record. Next time we're on the podcast, are the Rangers still at the top of the Metro?
They'll probably be in second. I'd say they'll be in second. I mean, it's pretty clogged right now, and again, it's so early. I don't know when they really play any of these top Metro teams. I know they play, like you said, the Hurricanes in that next home game, but it feels like a lot of the other teams, like the Devils, the Penguins, the Islanders, they don't really play a lot. So you're not going to see those 4-point swings. But yeah, I'd probably just first or second. I don't think it's going to be that big of a. They'll probably be in first or second. I'd say that.
Yeah, something around that. I'm not expecting this early in the season. You're not expecting a big drastic swing, and the way the Metropolitan is looking right now, a lot is probably still going to change because I don't expect to see the Flyers finishing tied with the Devils for second. That's just probably not going to happen. So it's early. Standings sometimes are weird early on in the season. The undefeated teams, they're not going to go 82-0-0. So a lot still has to happen. A lot will change, but that'll do it for an episode of the Talkin' Rangers podcast. Thank you all so much for listening and watching. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you all in the next video. Thanks for watching.